Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Pete Olson and Kyle Mosley from Contagious Games, and this is podcast episode number 3.
Episode 3? Jeez. Doing
We
it
are
for so long.
we are cooking in these things.
Well, we did get mentioned. Didn't you say we got mentioned in somebody's podcast already?
Yeah, some remote podcast out in Idaho is what I heard.
That's so awesome. 2 weeks into a podcast.
We are so popular.
All right, so what is our first topic?
Well, we have a whole bevy of topics, it seems, but let's go with Girl Scouts getting their first video game badge. And this is in relation to they're finally starting to teach Girl Scouts video game design and promoting them getting into a mostly male-dominated industry.
I love the look of the Girl Scout badge, and the Boy Scouts also got one as well, right?
Yeah, they've had one for a while now, it seems, but Girl Scouts have just started this.
Nice. Yeah, the Girl Scout badge is a 2D heart from Legend of Zelda. So awesome.
It's pretty awesome. The Boy Scout one shows it looks like an Xbox controller and some other things. The Girl Scouts got it right with the 16-bit heart.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the Boy Scout one is actually kind of lame, but I think it's friggin' awesome that Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts are embracing video games, and I guess they've been embracing technology constantly for the last few years. I think they have an internet badge as well, which is just hilarious to think about. But this video game badge is awesome, very,
The
very
internet
awesome.
badge, is that just like a logo of Google?
Yeah. So I wonder what it entails. Did you read up on what it takes to get the video game badge?
Apparently, they need to first come up with a game design document, and then they pitch it to a small team of them, of their peers and other people, I think maybe a scout leader or two. Then they take to actually designing the game, and once the game's finished, they get this badge.
Nice. So I wonder how deep they get into it. Do they tell them to make a giant RPG? That would be hilarious.
I hope it's not that deep, but I'm guessing that they probably make some little mini game
Yeah.
and just go from there.
Tetris, make a puzzle game.
They probably use that program we used. I forget what it's called.
Game Maker.
Yes, that is it.
It's a good program.
It's a great program for people just starting into game design.
Yes, it is. This portion of the podcast brought to you by Game Maker.
Our unofficial sponsor of Game Maker.
That's free, right? They don't make any money off of that.
I think they have a pro version they make money off of, but for the main part, it is free.
Okay. Huh, yeah. But that's pretty cool. I love that more embracing of video games is always a good thing.
Yeah, plus more chicks in the industry is always great.
I actually see quite a few female developers when we go to PAX. It's surprising.
I think video game companies like to really show that they have female developers. When you're at those, they like to bring them out,
Yeah, that's true.
which is kind of sexist, but it's also funny. So we also have A Link to the Past that is being made from Nintendo, and they hope it's going to revitalize the 3DS sales.
The 3DS has been selling fairly well. Been selling significantly better than Vita has, and the Wii U, as a matter of fact. But the A Link to the Past, it's a sequel, but it's in the same world, so it's more of a retelling of the same story. So it's got the same locations and stuff, but it's in a 3D aspect, and it looks really, really cool. You go in the dungeon that they were playing, you start out at the bottom floor, and then you hit a button, and the button jumps you up to the next floor, and it jumps you, of course, it's a 3DS, so you have the 3D effect of jumping up through the screen and up into the next level. And all the mechanics in it look really, really fun, and I'm pretty excited for it.
That is awesome. A Link to the Past, that was originally on the Super Nintendo, correct?
Yeah, it was top-down 2D, and it's easily one of my favorite games of all time. It was
Yeah,
so well developed, and it was such an epic adventure.
I know
And
that was one of the games I enjoyed too on the
yeah,
Super Nintendo.
it was a great game. I'm not sure if they're going to include the Dark World. The Dark World was one of my favorite things in the entirety of Legend of Zelda, where you would finish Hyrule and then you would get transported in to the Dark World of Hyrule, and it would be all brooding, and you'd see a bunch of really weird creatures, and you're just thinking, "What is this place? It's so crazy." That was an amazing experience as you're a 9, 10-year-old kid.
I always enjoyed that part of Zelda games when you'd reach that point where it just chuck you into the dark world and you'd be like, everything's different and it's the same geography as normal Hyrule, but then everything's all the monsters are different. It's all just completely backwards, and it's great.
Yeah. And of course they used the same thing in Ocarina of Time and then in Twilight Princess as well, but it was just on that system in that era, it was astounding to see.
Yeah, that's one of the things I really remember about A Link to the Past, Ocarina of Time.
The first time I tried to play A Link to the Past, I significantly remember making it to the Dark World and not being able to beat the first boss in the Dark World. And I never beat A Link to the Past for years after that. I got to the boss, I never beat the boss, couldn't beat it, so I quit and stopped. And I didn't play it until probably I was 14 or 15 years old again.
For a lot of video gamers out now, that's what we have the older brother factor or older brother card. That's when you would call him in to beat it because they had beaten it.
Yeah, that's true. I was always the person to go to in the house for that, for anything that anybody played. And then another great Legend of Zelda moment that I had as a kid was me and my cousin played Wind Waker together on the GameCube. And in that game, there was a really interesting aspect that they included for multiplayer. They let somebody connect through a Game Boy Advance to the GameCube and control a little thing floating around your character so they could fly around and like poke grass to cut the grass, and they could throw bombs at enemies. It was very, very interesting, and we went through the entire game through that, and it was probably like 20 hours together. It was really fun.
That is kind of the starting of the Wii U tablet there.
Yeah, exactly. Another announcement from them was also the Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons that are going to be released on the eShop in the 3DS, which is pretty cool. I like the idea of being able to play all of the Legend of Zelda games nowadays just by purchasing them digitally. Digital games I'm a big fan of when it comes to classics that you can't get anymore in the stores.
Yeah, and then I bought Excite Bike on the
Nice.
Wii, and I was tempted to buy Legend of Zelda, but at the time I didn't have money to do so.
The original?
Yeah,
Nice. Yeah, I got that on Nintendo Wii. Such a good game. It's freaking hard though.
yeah, it is.
So when I went to PAX East, there was a ridiculous following for Minecraft that I noticed. And it has become one of the biggest games in the world for kids that I've seen. Pretty much every kid that I know that I've heard of through other people it plays Minecraft. It's insane how big Minecraft has gotten. And
Even Mike's kids play Minecraft, and Mike is a guy from the work that Kyle and I both do.
yeah,
That he lives out in podunk nowhere with barely even internet connectivity, and still raises chickens for eggs and stuff like that. But his kids still play Minecraft.
yeah, and I'm really interested in to see how Minecraft affects the future of the industry because it has yet to we have yet to see anything major come out of the influence of Minecraft, but there's got to be something in the works.
There totally has to be something brewing, and for the Minecraft industry right now, it's totally become its own part of the game industry with how many people are playing this game.
Yeah, and we already have stuff like Terraria, which is a 2D side-scrolling Minecraft, and all the various other clones of Minecraft out there, but we haven't seen any major breakthroughs in Minecraft technology yet.
Yeah, when they put in the ability to control mob spawns as well as well, you can already build a castle, but being able to control mob spawns and maybe even making your own boss, you'll be able to practically make your own Zelda in Minecraft.
Yeah, exactly. Just the fact that it could become an editor for anything, any game out there. It's such a powerful editor when you think about it. You can make anything you want.
Yeah, I've joined a few random Minecraft servers that are just open ones that when you go to the Mojang page, you find their server stats and you log into them. And the ones I chose were the ones that started you off in editor mode, and I would just build giant billboards for Contagious Games, and then
That's awesome.
yeah, that was my first attempt is when I built it on our server, and I have since perfected it.
Nice. They have a quest system of some sort right now. I haven't played it yet. I'm really curious how they're going to implement something like that in the future in the regular game.
Yeah, I would really like to see that part of Minecraft become more fleshed out, being able to make your own quest, edit things just freely like that, mob spawns. That would be great because then you would truly be able to create your own game through this. They
Yeah,
could sell it
definitely.
as just a game engine.
Yeah. The fact that you can make everything in creative mode is friggin' awesome, but I really want a purpose or some sort of reason to do all that stuff in the regular version of the game. And it's just not there yet. There's the achievements, but those aren't very fleshed out. There's not that many of them right now.
There's like what 8 achievements right now.
Somewhere around that.
They could totally go with more achievements. I could see them making a way for them to be able to put in a quest editor for this easily.
I also think that they should port over the Xbox's heads-up display for their crafting stuff because they have a whole built-in menu where they tell you exactly what it takes to make specific things, and they give you a giant, pretty much a recipe book for everything in the game. And they really
That
need to
would
put
make
that.
the PC version so much easier.
Yeah, they really need to port that over to the PC version.
Having to have a Minecraft wiki up at the same time is really annoying, but that menu would make things leagues easier.
Yeah, that's also another thing is the wiki is fairly important in playing Minecraft on PC. One of the reasons is not only because of the recipes, but because of the sheer amount of things that are in the game that you don't know of. Like a, a mage's staff. You can make magic in the game already, and I didn't know that for probably a month or two after it came out. They need
Yeah,
they
that's
need
how I
some
found out you could dye sheep the colors you wanted to for wool.
they need some way to make it easier for the casual folks out there. It definitely has a giant following right now, so whatever they're doing, it's working.
Indeed, it is.
And then one thing I wanted to discuss was a MMO FPS called PlanetSide 2 for the PC, and it's free to play on Steam. It's a pretty interesting game. You start out creating your character, and you hit play, and you jump right into a humongous battlefield. You jump onto a planet. And you can go anywhere on this planet where your team controls. You teleport there, and you're in the battle instantly. It's really interesting. You try to capture points. You kill a bunch of people, and you get they're called cert points in the game, to spend on upgrades. You can upgrade your weapon, you can upgrade abilities, you can buy new armor, etc., etc. I think for shooters, the epitome of multiplayer is something like an MMO. I don't know exactly where it can go, but it seems like it would be ideal to just throw everybody onto a planet and let everybody cause mayhem.
Yeah, that seems to be the way. There are a few games going on like that right now where they just chuck you onto a planet. They're like, here's some dynamite, have fun.
And there's something to be said for that type of game. We were just talking about how Minecraft throws you into the game and you're free to do what you want from there. It's again, it's sort of the same for PlanetSide 2. You jump into the game and immediately you just decide what to do. It doesn't seem like it's quite there. It hasn't quite hit mass popularity, that style of throwing you into a world and letting you do what you want. But I imagine it'll take off because there's also the Halo MMO. Well, I should be careful saying that. It's the Bungie MMO. Since they are no longer owned by Microsoft, they have a very, very interesting game coming out. I don't remember when their release date was, but it's an online, massively multiplayer first-person shooter, and I'm pretty excited for that.
I don't know if that game has been released with announcements on when they plan on coming out with it, but yeah, it looks huge.
I'm kind of hesitant to accept any MMOs.
Yeah, it's MMOs are go along with a lot of indie games these days. It seems to be lightning in a bottle,
Yeah.
where if you can't capture that, then it's just gonna fail. Like with Star Wars, the Old Republic, when that first came out, there was a lot of promising things about that game, and they kind of EA just really took a dump on it and let the game fail. The game was great all the way up until the max level, and then they really didn't think about endgame at all.
Yeah, they had some stuff there, but once your guild did everything in the game, then you had nothing. There was nothing to do.
It was either PvP or literally sit around in town. The raids, I didn't raid in that game. I just PvP'd. But in that game, the raiding I heard was constantly having problems being broken and stuff, which I can understand with just getting into that and for BioWare, working out bugs and stuff like that. That's fine. Not having the massive amount of things to do at endgame that other MMOs have, because normally that's what you do in MMOs. You're fighting to get to the end game, where in SWTOR everything was before the end game.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate because they had friggin' fantastic storylines and great cinematics and great dialogue, great voice actors. There just was no lasting effect.
That is the only game I have literally paid attention to almost every quest I played,
Yep.
because their writing was awesome. Before that, like in WoW and stuff like that, I never read anything. It was just escape, get through as much of the quest text as possible just so you can get out there and do it, because it was all bullshit. But there it actually wasn't. You felt like there was an actual story that was helping you along. That's the problem with a lot of MMOs today, is capturing that attention.
Yeah, and it's really unfortunate because I was a big fan of the Knights of the Old Republic games, and I was really, really hoping that there would have been a third one, and then they said, this is going to be KOTOR 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and then it failed miserably, and now I'm sad.
Yeah, at least it's free to play now for people. Those that had to play it, pay to play it, I feel sorry for you.
Very much so.
But PlanetSide 2, being the sandbox that it is, it's kind of a double-edged sword. It's great that people can go in there, just drop in, play whenever they want to. But there's a lot of people who don't have that imagination to just go out and do whatever they want. They have to have strict guidelines to follow by, or some sort of quest log to tell them what to do. So I think that's why that type of game has not really caught on yet.
Yeah, and we've seen many other MMOs, like I said, like Ion, that faded into oblivion. Was another one, Warhammer Online, faded into
That game
oblivion.
was amazing with PvP, but other than that, it was complete and utter crap. Like, it was so bad.
Yeah, I can attest to that since I'm usually a PvE guy, and I played the PvP and that had a lot of fun. I played the PvE and I didn't know what I was doing most of the time, so I just kind of PvP'd my way through it.
I don't know how people got to max level in that game, because once you hit 30, it was like pulling your hair out to gain a level.
And then we've seen, what's the other one? Oh, Age of Conan is the one I'm thinking of.
Age of Conan.
Yeah, that came out and then immediately went free to play.
Yeah, free to play is a good scale for companies, I think, if they realize, okay, well, this game's not gonna go as well, but they can prolong it with free to play. That's fine to me. I mean, they're making a game that they like, and then they can do mini transactions, which at a certain point, mini transactions are more helpful than actually a subscription.
Free to play can work. Look at League of Legends as the amazing example.
Indeed.
They did it great. You jump in, you log in, you create an account, you hit play, you jump in a game immediately, and there you go. You're off playing. And then you can go into the store, buy a bunch of skins for your characters, or buy champions play, and you only get, because you can only get a certain amount, you start out with 10 free champions per week, and then it just cycles every week. But you can unlock more champions with either real money or the points you gain in the game. So it's really, really a great, great thing that they did with League of Legends, and I wish other companies would embrace something similar. But it's hard to do a good free-to-play model, especially for something like the Old Republic. Obviously, they failed and had to go back to a free-to-play model. I don't know if that was ever in their design plans. I imagine it wasn't, but it's something they had to immediately fudge into the design, and that's unfortunate. Maybe if they planned it free-to-play from the beginning, maybe it would have been a little slightly better experience, but who knows?
I think it was always on the table for them, but it was totally just an afterthought. They just pushed it off to the side and kept going with what they had. The game, the visuals and all that stuff was great. I loved the part of Star Wars that I played. The switching to the free-to-play model, I think, is what's prolonging it right now.
Pretty much. And there, even on the portable, on my cell phone, I go into the App Store and I see tons of online multiplayer games. I'm amazed that there's so many just on the cell phone.
Yeah, that kind of amazes me too, how many are up for mobile devices, which I think would be a networking nightmare. But...
Yeah, that brings me back to a long time ago. When I was first starting college, I was playing a game called Hobo Wars, and it was an online multiplayer text-based game where you have just a bunch of stats on your character, and then you go out and you can fight other people, or you can fight NPCs. You can go through a very interesting quest line, and it's all text-based. It was really interesting, but it kept me addicted to the game. I kept going back every day for 5 to 10 minutes and just controlling my character and saying, yeah, do this for the day, or do this for the day, or all right, I'm done for the day, and then come back tomorrow. It was really weird. I don't know how they captured that experience, but I went for a good year or two on that just text-based game.
I played a text-based Space Age game. I cannot remember what it was called, but it was massively played as well, and there was a lot of things in that game that you're just, why am I coming back here? Because the game is rather addicting.
Yeah,
and that's
exactly.
the whole thing about it. I mean, if it captures your attention that well, they're doing their job with the game design.
Yeah, which brings us to Facebook games. Facebook games, they go after the casual audience, and they certainly captured that at some point.
Yeah, they're doing quite well at capturing people's attention, especially people that only play the Facebook games and social games in general. They do quite well at it, but there seems to be a steep decline in going it down in popularity recently. What I was reading in an article about it seemed that the games that are coming out right now aren't as thrilling as they once were because there's just so many of that type that they're just becoming big clones. And so people are getting tired of that and the lack of diversity.
What I think the main issue with the platform of Facebook games is that they don't have any AAA titles. Like, when you think of a console, when you think of Xbox 360, you think of Halo. When you think of PlayStation, you think of, well, you used to think of Final Fantasy, but that's for everything now. When you think of Nintendo, you think of Mario. They have their flagship video games that everybody plays on those consoles. Facebook has nothing. Facebook has what? Angry Birds? Everything. You can play Angry Birds on a toaster. I mean, it's ridiculous. So they don't really have a good game for people to go there and continuously play, and that's well developed and takes a while to come out. So I think that's part of the issue.
I think their flagship game was Farmtown. Farmtown. I know there was two of them that were called that. They were basically the same damn thing. But that game is well known now and has, I wouldn't say it's died out. I'm sure there's still plenty of people that play it, but it's lost its popularity. It's no longer new. People know what it is and doesn't interest them anymore. They want they need a game that is their flagship. You know, when you think of Facebook, you think of that game.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm pretty sure that Ouya, the Android console, is going to have the exact same problem that Facebook has right now.
That is totally what I see happening with that console. I do not think, though, that social games are going to die out ever. I think they're pretty well here to stay.
Oh yeah, we had Tetris back in the day.
Right now. Yeah, casual people are always looking to entertain themselves when they're bored, either at home or at work, so they're here to stay.
For sure. It's a very, very large industry. People always need games to play on the toilet.
Or when hiding from a boss because you can't stand doing your job anymore. I think that kind of goes with the MMOs struggling is capturing lightning in a bottle. If you can't, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. They just have to grin and bear it and move on.
May have been an idea they thought was going to be successful, but nope. I don't know how a MMO could come out and dethrone WoW. It's still going to this day. So if nothing's broken it yet, I don't see anything else breaking.
With WoW, the WoW is a lot of people's first MMO, and I know for you, and especially other people that have played MMOs, me myself, when you play your first MMO, it's like your own child. That is your just love right there. You had such a great time in that MMO. You constantly draw back to that experience, and when you play other MMOs, you expect them to bring that experience back. When they don't, these games, you end up losing interest in them.
Yeah, another complaint I have with MMOs coming out is that they are very, very, very obvious clones of World of Warcraft and the entire system of World of Warcraft. It's a joke, really, since they should develop something and try to revolutionize the industry rather than copy what's there. I mean, I guess it's a problem with every other industry out there. Everybody wants to make money, so they're going to copy what's popular. But at this point, copying what's popular is going on 10 years old. It's going to be 10 years old in 2 years. So if you copy that, then you're forcing yourself to use old game design, and it's just horrible. Revolutionize the industry.
That's actually another article I saw in Gamasutra, is character of Centipede. The creator of Centipede was complaining about the lack of diversity in the game industry right now. FPS, when you think of FPS, you think of consoles. Consoles are flooded with FPS right now. PC, mainly MMOs. That's their thing, and when you think of MMOs, you think of WoW instantly.
Or RTS games.
Yeah, real-time strategy as well. But it is true. There is a huge lack of diversity going on in the game industry right now, and we really need to step it up and start revolutionizing a lot of this shit. I think with those glasses coming out soon, not just the Google Glass, but also the
Oculus Rift.
Oculus, that is going to start breaking barriers here soon. An MMO with that on? Come on.
One thing that I think is helping the industry is indie games. It's pretty amazing when you think about it. It's indie games have gotten so big and they can get so popular and make so much money as just indie games, and it's crazy. Some of them are fantastic.
Minecraft technically is an indie game.
Yes, it was. I don't know if it could be considered that anymore.
Yeah, now I don't know if it can be considered that because they're a pretty big company now.
You look at stuff like I made a game with zombies in it. That made tons of money. Or
Dishwasher.
trying to think. Was that a indie game?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. The indie games are great. And I'm glad Nintendo is finally trying to do their part and support indie games on the Wii U.
I'm definitely glad to hear that from Nintendo. I'm deeply saddened about Xbox not continuing it, but yeah, I'm sure PlayStation and Nintendo will pick up the slack. They'll happily do it.
Yeah, diversity is definitely a major issue in gaming, especially when you think of individual categories like first-person shooters. You think of Call of Duty or Halo, and to the layman, those games probably look exactly the same. But that's where the money is, and that's where they want to be to have a cash cow. And then you get stuff like Portal, which is fantastic, but only on occasion.
I still think it's great that someone at Valve was screwing around enough, not doing their job. They were screwing around enough with the portal gun. They discovered this and made a rough couple of levels out of it, pitched it to someone, and they were like, yes, let's make that a game.
Yeah, Portal is very, very much a success story. Those were great games.
Yeah, we played Portal 2 together, and that was quite a feat.
Especially the puzzle where there was a 1 on the left side and a 2 on the right side. And we spent probably a good 2 to 3 hours just sitting there staring, jumping back and forth like, how do we do this? How are we supposed to do this puzzle? And then finally, it took me to look online at a guide to solve this frickin' puzzle. And we're like, oh, right. I guess we could have done that.
It's the one thing we didn't try.
We ended up having to go through the portal on the one side and then go through the portal on the 2 side at the same time, and we had to collide in the air, and then we would solve the puzzle. But we couldn't put 2 and 2 together, almost literally.
All the other puzzles we had done, it would be like one of us would be completely stumped and the other one would figure it out, or one of us would do something and it would click for the other person. That one, no, we tried so many different things.
On the note, going back to the lack of diversity in first-person shooters, I want to discuss a video that I just watched. It was titled, "Can Military Shooters Be Profound or Moving?" referring to the generic storylines like Call of Duty's storyline you don't even understand, and it's just there merely to have a purpose for you to run through and shoot people. And Halo's story, I personally love Halo's story, but lots of people will probably say it's just a basic invade the aliens base, kill the aliens, escape story. But I love those stories. So the question is, can we have a shooter with a moving story? And I think we can. One game I just finished was Spec Ops: The Line. The story in that game was amazing. That was pretty much the entire reason I was playing that game. And that's not to detract from the rest of the game. It was just your standard shooter. If you took out the story, it was just a standard third-person shooter. The story just kept you interested the entire time. You were interested in the characters. You wanted to see where it went. And it paid off in the end. It was a very, very fun game. And I liked it a lot. I think it's possible to put in great stories into regular first-person shooters. It's just, yet again, that's not the common thing to do, and companies probably say don't put too much time into the story since that's not the main part of the shooter genre. I think it's possible to have a
Yeah.
moving first-person shooter.
With Modern Warfare 2, their storyline was, 4 hours long, if that.
Yeah.
And it was very generic. And if you played the game, if you bought the game, never played a minute of online play, which those games are mainly made for, but if you just played the story, you would feel completely ripped off.
Pretty much.
I think it's totally plausible to do a great story along with a first-person shooter. Look at all the BioShocks, those stories you play.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You play those games and you're just wow. You keep going on and on because you want to see how crazy it gets. And right now I'm playing Dishonored. It's not really it's a first person game. It's not
It's like Oblivion, right?
yeah, it's not constant shooter. It has shooter elements in it, but the story in it is quite awesome.
How far are you into it?
I am still pretty early on into it. I shouldn't be playing it because I'm technically still need to do a lot of stuff in Puppy Hunt. So I'm trying to take my time with it easy. What I've experienced so far is pretty awesome. The art style of it it's not realistic. The art style, it looks like everyone's kind of painted on there, which I think is interesting. I always love games that don't have the completely realistic art style going on.
Brown and gray tones.
There is a lot of brown and gray.
Oh, really?
But it's during that time area of plague going on and stuff, so it makes sense.
Not Contagious Games Plague.
Indeed. That color palette was green.
Yeah. Neon green.
It was the entire green spectrum, okay? It went from neon green to black.
So what's the story about? What's the game about, Dishonored?
So far, what I have seen, you are an assassin. Well, first you start off as a guy named Korsavo. You're the trusted bodyguard of an empress who is a little girl, and right off the beginning you get framed for committing a murder, which is pretty standard for a lot of games these days, which is murdering the queen, of course, or the empress, whatever you want to call it. And you're framed for that, and there's still people who are loyal to you. They help you escape from prison. And now you're working your way up through those ranks of people, killing them or poisoning them and getting information to help free the Empress, which the little girl who you protected. You're trying to help free her because they took her captive. It's pretty interesting from what I've played so far. Your choices in it's a lot like Oblivion stuff where your choices will influence the game itself.
Nice. Do you choose a class or a race?
No, your class and race is all chosen for you. You're Korsavo. You're this dude who...
Are you a thief or just a soldier? Or
at first you're more like a soldier guy, but you end up becoming more of this assassin who sneaks... You can either sneak around in the dark, or you can kill people, and I'm more of the brutish type that just goes up and kills people, and I've noticed it's really turning the game into a dark and brooding game. And I saw one of the tips while the game was loading, and it said the more people you kill, the more rats it produces, the further the plague spreads.
Oh my goodness. That's awesome.
So I'm like causing the plague just to reap havoc through this town.
That's really cool. I love it when games incorporate the decision to go stealthy or just run right through. I always like those aspects in games. One game I played was Metal Gear Solid 4, which you could choose to sneak around, not kill a single person, or you could go absolutely third-person shooter and mow everybody down. And I went the stealthy route. It was incredibly fun.
Yeah, right. I've been trying to go more the stealthy route. There's actually a check mark. Like once you finish a level, it shows you the stats for the game. There's actually a check mark on there that says like did not kill anybody, was never discovered.
Oh, nice.
Check for me.
So have you played games like Thief?
I have. Were games you had to be completely stealth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a new Thief remake coming out, which I'm hoping to play. Another game they did that in was Deus Ex Human Revolution, which I really, really need to get to that.
Into.
I played about halfway through Deus Ex 1, and that game was friggin' fantastic. And in that game, you could decide to go stealthy or kill people. And it was always, well, I guess in that game I decided to slaughter everybody, but I decided to slaughter everybody stealthily. I went the sniper route, so I would just snipe people like 5 miles away. I would just snipe the entire area, kill everybody in the area, and then I would be free to roam around the mission as I wanted.
The latest mission I played in Dishonored, you're going through a whorehouse looking through for these two dignitaries that you have to kill.
Always a fun time.
Yep. And I started sniping people with a crossbow because it's silent, doesn't make any noise when you hit people. Well, you leave bodies around. These bodies attract attention to guards that roam. And all of a sudden I had like 30 guards just like looking up in the rafters for me. And I was like, okay, I think I need to reload this level and do this again. It does not work out well. That comes up with the other topic you were talking about this once before, but the always on console.
Oh man. I don't think that it'll work personally, but I guess that's where we're going, so it's not really relevant because we don't really have a decision because that's where everything is going. Online stores, we have our cell phones, online app stores, and everything. So I don't know. I guess it's for DRM to prevent used game sales, but it's really weird. I don't like it personally.
I think it's a weird idea myself. I can't really see it being a huge plus to some people. I see it struggling to take off.
Yeah, the next Xbox was rumored to have online only, which now it looks like there's a rumor that it's not online only, but it's just a rumor, so nothing's confirmed yet.
It's the same thing with the PS4.
Yeah, well, I think they confirmed that the PS4 was not online only,
which is a good thing, I think. Online is great, but we're still at that time and age where technical difficulties could kick in, and then you're pretty much screwed.
Yeah, I live in an apartment, and my apartment internet could go down at any point in time, and if that goes down, then I can't play my console game. However, that's also the same deal right now for Steam games, and I am a big fan of Steam games, so
I have enjoyed quite a few Steam games, but it does take me off that you have to be online just to play a single player game like Skyrim.
Yeah. And while we're on the topic, I have a bone to pick with online stores. Friggin', I really, really, really hate the fact that we're getting different companies with their own online store. I don't want to download an online store every time I purchase a game. It's annoying as hell. Can't we just all get along and use the same store system, please?
Each one has its own format, too. It's so freaking annoying.
It is. It's horrible. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. Stop. I don't want to do that. Please.
Yeah, I kind of wish that would be great if there was just one online store that companies could just throw their shit up on and just work from that. But since there never will be, there are big, large companies out there like Steam. I know Ubisoft has their own online store and stuff like that. They should just all upload it to that online store. Stop making us have to download all these mini stores.
It's mostly the major corporations that are making their own, like Ubisoft and Origin. But it's just frustrating because all I want to do is go to Steam, download Far Cry 3. But no, I can't. I have to download friggin' Ubisoft's ridiculous online store in order to get the game. I have to buy it through the game, and I have to have the store up whenever I want to play the game.
That brings us to music in games.
Music in the game industry can be very wonderful.
It can. That song you heard at the beginning was made by a band out in Duluth known as Aaron Gall and the Likely Story. They have done quite a few music samples for our game, and they were all as awesome as what you heard. Hoping those help propel Puppy Hunt.
It's always awesome to see indie games have a good music following. When you load up an indie game and you hear this really badass music in the background, it's just really, really cool.
That's another thing about games. When you're making them, you have to really think about what type of music you want. You know what type of music you like, but it's not always what fits your game. So when you're making a game, you really have to concentrate on that part. A lot of indie guys just make a game and then they're like, "Oh shit, I need music. Let's search through a bunch of free music files and oh, this sounds okay. Let's throw it up there," where it doesn't fit your game at all.
Yeah, music is very, very important. It sets the tone of your game. Even though you don't think about it, it sets the tone. And for stuff like Dead Space's soundtrack, if you ripped it out of the game and just had the game, it wouldn't be Dead Space. You wouldn't be creeped out around corners because the music wouldn't be there to creep you out. You wouldn't have the heart-throbbing scenarios where you're about to die and the intense music plays in the background. Music is very important.
Yeah, it sets the emotion for everything in your game. Where you're making the content that fills up that emotion, the music is setting the emotion. And well, I think that completely exhausts our topic list for this podcast.
Thanks for listening.
Yep, thank you for listening. This is Contagious Games signing out.
Bye.
Yeah, apocalypse. Dogs over there with the vicious tips on the ends of the teeth and the ends of the mouth. Watch out, get a stash. Bark, bark. It's a adorable apocalypse. Bark, bark. Yeah, the dog is a terror on four legs. Yeah, watch out, golden hydra. Bark, bark. Bark, bark. I'm done. Apocalypse, adorable apocalypse. Bark, bark. Scary. Throw me a bone. Bark. Do the thumb dance. Watch out for the upside down lawnmower. Up, up. The motor's going off. Time is going down. All right, adorable apocalypse. Adorable apocalypse. That's it right there. That's a good one. Bark, bark. Hey, who's next? Bark, 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 bark. It's raining bark. Stop this to me. Don't do this anymore. This to me. You piece of shit. Someone else has a chance to do this. I'm done. Bark.